if you don't understand this, you are liable to be tricked by this. Why? Because visual literacy is used as a tool often to trick us to buy things. That is the topic of this video. It is part of a course on an introduction to visual literacy, but you can watch it as a standalone. So a lot of times visuals are constructed in art to help you gain meaning. And I'm going to sit right in the middle of the expulsion from Eden here by Michelangelo in the Sistine Chapel that was made in the early 1500s. But this kind of framing is actually very common in lots of print media that we see all the time. So let us just quickly look at it. So here they are embracing each other in the shade. There's actually three pairs of Adam and Eve in this. But look at, and now even though it's darkness, it's actually shade, positive. It's really happy. They're like together, so happy. This is also a very rounded thing, so it's like a visually positive thing. Anything that's in the round is often something they're trying to say is like good. Here, they are in the bright light. It is bad. So they're like being burned by the sun. They've never had any kind of sunburn before. And their body, they look like, when you're cold and you pull up your elbow, you pull up your shoulders. They're a little bit like that. They're so their physical form is very tense. And you see God right there. And this has a lot of empty space, right? So they're not framed by any joy. They're not embracing each other. It's very negative. And this kind of framing is giving you a this against that. This is a very common kind of framing. You see it in film, you see it in print ads, all kinds of things, because our brain wants to compare. So we are doing this comparing and contrasting. And so this is something where Michelangelo is leaning into it. But that's also something that you see in advertising. Now, I have to say, I don't know that his teeth were like this. This might be dentures. I have no idea. But they do this compare and contrast all the time. Before and after, you don't even have to put the words. Our brain will go before and after. Now, in this case, the light here is bright because it's like seen as positive, right? Like after is supposed to seem as positive. Here, though, is very similar to the Adam and Eve, the like bright light, yuck, and then look at how great it is. Our brain is supposed to see this difference immediately. And so that is very common. Now, these two, the before and afters I just showed you, are obvious, right? It even has the text, but this kind of framing happens all the time in print journalism, for example. In images that are about all of our public current events, we often have this kind of framing. So this is Black Lives Matter's very popular image that came out, and you see her standing alone with all of that open space, much like the expulsion of Adam and Eve, except for in this case, it's seen as a positive. It frames her. So you see her alone against all of this. It becomes like a scale, right? And you're seeing this sort of equal. And in this one, it's supposed to put her in a positive light, whereas this seems like undue force for somebody who is unarmed. And you might not even realize you're taking all of that in. Now, here's another one that is similarly framed. This is from the Vietnam War, and it's to show this army hospital. It's basically submerged in water. And what you should see is this and this it's a before and after. So this is before, this is going to be after. But it also makes you think maybe he's not going to make it. So the before and after is also oftentimes so that we can fill in the narrative. They don't have to say the narrative, but in your mind you think, oh my God, how can somebody survive when the nurses or the doctors are submerged in water? So it makes you fill in a lot of things. It's a very useful framing. And when you are watching movies and you like realize that you know what's going to happen, it's often because of this. It's because our brain finishes images. Our brain puts images together. Now, another kind of framing that is very, very common in our society is chaotic framing. So we just looked at before and after, or binary framing. This is chaotic. So this is one of the probably most loved internet images, The Garden of Earthly Delights by Bosch. And what you see is so much, and it's the so much that draws you in, but it also tricks you. Now, Bosch is very smart because in chaotic framing, many people do this. They actually have an order. It's just a hard to understand order. So you have a lot going on here, less going on here, and even less going on here. So it's actually hierarchical. Also, if you notice, the figures almost make a triangle. That is so your eye keeps going up. So there, in chaotic framing, there is still order. It's that the order isn't apparent immediately because the chaos is what is so exciting to you. We are people as human beings who are used to visuals. Visuals make sense to us even if we don't realize it. However, artists are even better at it. So they're basically like a step ahead of you and building a framing that draws you in. The other thing that happens with the Garden of Earthly Delights is it is nuts. And this is another thing that you see very often in chaotic framing. Once you look closer, it's even crazier. And that is very, very common in advertising where you're like, huh? Oh, and our built environment is like this now. When you look at, say, I don't know, any street that has a lot of, you're going on the freeway and you pass all these fast food restaurants and there's sign upon sign upon sign. They're doing it on purpose. They have an order, right? Because like somebody in the zoning department makes sure you can see all the signs or whatever. But they don't want you to know that order. This is the same sort of principle of any kind of casino. They don't want you to understand the order because they want you to be lost. Now, finally, there are things that choose to make you want to decode it. So this is the Maroda altarpiece or the Annunciation triptych. I have a long video that describes all of the symbols. There's a lot of them in it. But one of the things that you should notice is it's very ordered. Your eye immediately went to this. This is when somebody wants you to know that they want you to know the symbols, right? So like chaotic symbolism is basically they're going to trick you. Here they're saying, I don't want to trick you. I want you to look at exactly what I want you to look at. So here you have the book. This is the Annunciation. Jesus holding his cross is flying in. Mary is about to get pregnant, and the angel Gabriel is right here. But this is basically laid out to say to you, there is something to understand, and you will understand it. This is something that you see very often in like educational PowerPoints. They're like pointing to the thing. They want you to understand. Now, one thing about framing like this is that you can be tricked in a different way because you trust them, right? They're saying like, learn this. And so sometimes you don't realize what you're missing. But where does this come up in our real life? Well, Kendrick Lamar's Super Bowl performance is a really good example of this. So he set it up, and like it's a flag. I mean, any American would look at this and be like, "That's a flag," and then he, in the middle of the performance, splits it apart like a nation divided. Right? This is something where it's intro to symbolism. You could pretty much get it, and he set it up with the beginning from the beginning, so people understood this is something you're going to have to decode. And that is a classic example, just like the Maroda altarpiece, where he is saying, I'm about to tell you something very clear visually, and it's going to be real easy. And he does that. The thing about all of these systems, right, is that if you don't realize they're happening in your head, even something this clear, you might second guess yourself. You're like, wait a second, is this all symbolism? Because we as people are not trained to realize we're understanding visual imagery. And that's the biggest challenge. So take something like this. If I asked you right now, are they rich or poor? If you live in the United States, you would immediately be able to tell because you're part of this society. You can tell that even though they are wearing sort of casual clothes, that they are still really expensive casual clothes. They're in an expensive situation. There are lots of things our brains are making sense of visually that we are not realizing. And so when you start breaking it down, then you start making sense of it. And that's also why looking at visual art that's hard really helps you in your everyday life. Because actually, this is not very different than the Garden of Earthly Delights. Once you start looking at it, you realize he actually has some order to it. And he wants you to look in certain places. And it's actually pretty much a system. And so understanding that is what will make you understand your world better. So thank you for watching. This is part of a course. Subscribe, like, save, tell your friends, and thank you for being